Do you want early access? Do you want uncut reactions? If so, then check out our Patreon. Link in the description down below. Last episode, and I know there were people on our Patreon who were just like, oh, you guys just don't understand. They're actually doing a really good job of portraying it in the manga. And I'm like, then I would have loved to have seen that portrayed in the anime. Because if they've taken a huge step forward in terms of timelines, and we're not going to see any of that, but yet we're pretty much going to have to piece it together as this season goes on, that's ballsy, but at the same time, if it completely has shifted the focus of the narrative and completely shifted focus on who the main characters are, there's a problem. I'm sorry, but without conveyance, I mean, how are we supposed to understand that or come to the conclusions or anything like... Look, I know this is going to piss people off.
I don't have faith that an anime in one season is going to make me care more about the new people than I did about the original people. So I hope they come back.
Keep in mind, we've had 3 seasons with Eren, Mikasa, and Armin. Not only that, we've watched them grow from childhood into becoming the soldiers that they are.
It would maybe work better in book form, but you're gonna have to give me like another 3 seasons for me to even remotely like play with that concept of like enjoying this and only this for the rest of the show. But I don't think it's gonna stay this. Like, obviously,
I hope not.
They have to have some kind of play in it. Like, Reiner's still there, obviously.
Well, Reiner
like,
and of course Zeke as well. Yeah.
The rest of them will show up at some point. I just hope we don't have, like, half a season of just whatever this is. Or I'm going to just be sitting here like, when the fuck does this get good?
Honestly, I'm intrigued, but at the same time, I'm a bit confused with the narrative choice. That's my whole thing. I guarantee you we're going to hear about it in the comment section. If you want to air your grievances, go right ahead. Still doesn't fix the fact that we're in a little bit of a confused rut when it comes to this show. So I'm hoping that things do change. I guess we're going to have to see. But for right now, let's get this up on screen. Let's give this a watch. This is Attack on Titan, Season 4, Episode 2, Midnight Train. Here we go.
半島の自治権をめぐる戦争に4年も費やした挙句、敵艦隊とこちらの主力の巨人2体があわや差し違える失態を演じた。粉々に砕くに至った。これがかの大国マーレの勝利だと言えるのか。
人類が巨人の力を超えるその時だ。我々が巨人の力を過信し、植民地政策を進める中、諸外国はそれに抗うべく兵器の開発に力を入れた。
我々は戦争の主導権を失う。いや、すでに遅れをとって。
Wonderboy Zeke。
今こそパラディ島作戦を再開し、始祖の巨人奪還を急ぐべきです。今我々に必要なのは軍備再編までの時間。それには一刻も早くマーレがパラディ島を占拠し、すべての巨人の力を収めたという新聞の見出しが必要なのです。
残りの1年の命をもって4年前の雪辱を。
So it was 4 years ago. Okay, so that's a correction. That's a correction.
グリシャ・イエーガーの行いに終止符を打つのは。
So at least they are setting up to have the conflict with them again.
どうして特別なんでしょう。王家の血を引いているわけでもないのに。
Well, he does have royal blood. I think that's the thing.
記憶を継承するお前には知られちまうかもな。ケツの吹き方が独特なんだ。誰にも言わないでくれ。ダメだ、すべて話す。隊長！血毛の数まで申告してもらう。エルディア人にプライバシーは必要か。この3年間、パラディ島に向かった調査船は一隻も帰ってきていない。ジーク、お前はこれをどう思う？軍の船が32隻も沈められたのなら。
Erd and Armin are just standing out in the ocean, fucking up ships as they roll up, apparently.
I would say Armin probably, like, as the Colossal Titans, just, like, picking the ships up and, like, chucking them onto land. And just, like... And just
literally just transforming above them somehow and, you know, fucking blowing everybody up.
Well, there's that, but at the same time, I think they would want to take the... I think they would want to, like, secure the ships so that they could secure the technology themselves. Yeah. Yeah, You have absolute beasts like Mikasa and Levi, yeah.
ガリアド助かったよ。
礼には及ばん。そもそも9年前に俺が鎧を継承していればそら辺の巨人に食われることもなかった。
マルセルの記憶を見たのか。
いや、だが全身のユミルって女のことは少し分かった。
Oh, so that's not an unaccounted for Titan. He's took him years.
あ
Yeah.
の女の意志だ。女の記憶を通してお前を見たが、あれはなんだ。随分と倒れる男を気取っていたようだったが、まるで兄貴の真似事じゃねえか。
ほっこ、艦砲射撃を食らった人はいじめちゃだ。人間に戻るのは2ヶ月ぶりだからね。その度に二足歩行を忘れてしまうよ。それよりライナー、ガビたちに顔を見せて。
Apparently, she's the quadrupedal Titan. See, at least this is more interesting because we're getting like some answers about, you know, the enemies.
Yeah.
巨人が戦争で役に立たなくなった。俺たち戦士隊はエルディア人はどうなるんだろうな。無垢の巨人の襲撃を食らって生き延びた敵兵だ。本国に戻ったら巨人兵器の非人道性を訴えるマスコットにされる。そしたらエルディア人の立場はますますひどくなる一方だ。くそくそくそ。
ほらウゴ、町の者に当たるな。
私たちレベリオの本部に帰れるんだって。それまでにこの町を回ろう。
おい、
こんな機会めったにない
ブ
よ。
ラウンさんは
Oh, it's them. He saw how they were back when they were kids.
I think this is why people said they like, you know, Reiner and Burt Holt.
Do what?
It's trying to make us like the other side more.
I think
what
it's
it's
trying to
doing.
humanize them, not necessarily to the point of where I like them, but to the point of where we can understand their plight and see their point of view on things. She's gonna punch him.
Kind of fucked up when you think about it.
It is.
Oh, pardon him for using his brain.
Huh?
Said, oh yeah, pardon him for using his brain.
発言を訂正させてください。戦士候補生ファレコ・グライスは己の一族を悪しきユミルの力から解放するべく名誉マーレ人として栄誉と誇りを授かり、祖国マーレの忠誠を存分に示す権利が得られることと存じます。旧来の巨人を継承するのは俺です。
そうだ。お前がガビを救い出すんだ。この真っ暗な俺たちの未来から。
So Reiner understands it too. It's just I don't think Reiner's all there, man.
I think he's incredibly like, you know, torn in his beliefs.
もし副長が俺と同じ考えでエルディア人を戦争から解放したいんだとしたら信じていいのか。
クリアすねよ。
いえ、明日からまた訓練なので。
あんた何張り切ってんの？点数稼ぎ。父さん。
ジーク、じいちゃん、ばあちゃん。ただいま。
狙った通り、走行列車は脱線してひっくり返った。
ガビが鎧の巨人の継承権を得るのは決定的だと。
それは良かった。エルディア人もみんな幸せになれるの。
See? Indoctrination.
お前でさえ島の悪魔から逃げるのがやっとだったんだろ。
ダメだよお父さん。凶悪で残虐な悪魔たちの住む。
Ah, so they're cousins. Okay.
俺はあの島で軍隊に潜入したんだ。連中はまさしく悪魔で残虐非道な奴らだったよ。便所に入るなりどっちを出しに来たのか忘れるバカだったり、 自分のことしか考えてねえ不真面目なやつに人のことばっかり考えるクソ真面目なやつ、突っ走るしか頭にねえやつに何があってもついていくやつ、そこにいた日々はまさに地獄だった。
いろんなやつらって何？悪いやつらでしょ。
そうだよか。島にいるのは世界を地獄にした悪魔だ。私たちを置き去りにして島に逃げた奴らに制裁を与えなくてはならない。私たちを見捨てた奴らに。
Fled? That's what they're taught? They're taught that the ones who were there fled. Oh, you unbelievably jaded old woman. Good God.
Who just jumped off the roof?
Wait, did she just kill herself?
No, somebody else did. Somebody.
Just somebody,
Just
I guess.
somebody.
They didn't see who it was.
島から一人だけ帰ってきて別人みたいになった。
12歳だった息子がおっさんになって帰ってくればさぞかし心配させるだろう。
おはようございます。
全員揃ったな。先の戦いで通常兵器が巨人兵器を上回る未来がより明確に知れ渡った。唯一の解決策は早急に始祖の巨人とパラディ島の資源をマーレに収めること。まずは改めてあの島の脅威を強く世界に知らしめなければならない。それをタイバー家が引き受けてくれるそうだ。
戦前の巨人を管理するタイバー家。
So that's the extra
巨
time.
人体制のフリーツを退けた一族として諸外国に顔が利く。世界は耳を傾けざるを得ないでしょう。
俺たち戦士隊もタイバー家と協力して英雄国マーレ復活の礎となりましょう。祭事が行われる。祭事？諸外国の要人や記者を招いてタイバー家は宣言を行う。1年以内にパラディ島を制圧すると。密室でこの内容なら問題ないだろう。ジークの一言がなければ。この部屋にはいないか。
Ah.
あんちまえ。
I wonder if that could be a hint that they've all been acting to save their own skin for Marley the whole time.
Maybe they were waiting for Marley to be weak enough to where they could do it. I don't know.
It's like maybe it's been an act that the brainwashing worked, but like the whole time it's just like, no, it's more the fact that you have a gun to my head than the fact that you tried to brainwash me.
I think
it's
when
like,
they
I say
realize
these lines because I have to say them or you'll kill me, essentially.
I think if that's the case, effectively after them experiencing, like when Zeke, the quadrupedal Titan, and Reiner came back from the island, they pretty much just had the realization, why the hell are the Paradisians fighting so hard? Because they're fighting for their right to exist.
Well, is it just me, or how stupidly petty and fake did his story about them even sound? You know, like he couldn't even come up with anything better than like, oh, one wouldn't share a full half of a potato with another.
Because
in
his mind, I think he's realizing he forged friendships over there and he threw them away from Marley. And not only that, not only did he lose,
I could maybe finally
Annie, and he lost Berthold.
I could maybe finally give some ground and be like, okay, maybe they aren't dick bags, and it has been an act the whole time just because they know.
I don't think it was the whole time, but yeah, go ahead, finish your point.
Yeah, but like it's just they know the threat to their own lives and the lives of everybody they care about if they don't submit and follow orders, essentially, and like if they don't feed back the brainwashing lines that they've been fed for their whole life. Well, they'll just be fed to the next Titan in line, basically,
And basically, I think the cracks in the facade are starting to show with Reiner because even his own mother was concerned about him saying, like, not completely horrid things. It's about the Paradisians.
Yeah,
I mean that was the point of Reiner telling the whole thing is like
since he came back and everything. Like Zeke even like saw a lot of stuff. Like he had a conversation with somebody from over there. Remember? Like
he did.
He obviously let them die, but he was like, "What's this like?" It was like it's like, oh, you're just people too, I guess. Weird. Like, I didn't expect that kind of thing. But it's just, he's obviously more cool-headed about it because he didn't have to spend all of the time in their ranks. Whereas, like, with Reiner, obviously, like, that really is fucking with him. Like, having spent all that time, hanging out with them.
He forged friendships. I mean, with Eren, with Mikasa, with Armin, with pretty much everyone in that scout crew that he came up with. I mean,
he basically had to, like, give his minor annoyances about everyone as, like, his evidence that they're devils, essentially, because he couldn't come up with, like, you know, he would have had to, like, bold-faced lie to everyone, and with your family, a lot of times they know when you're lying, like, they've been around you enough to know if you lied to them. So,
and then, of course,
his mother... He would have had to, like, make shit up and be like, oh, they did these horrible things. Like,
and then his mother had to embolden, like, that's right, they're all devils.
Yeah.
Every single one of them over there abandoned us, that's why they need to be punished. It's like, oh, I see now. Mm-hmm. You know, because
I feel like they were dropping mad hints that they all kind of know. Like, they know they're not in the right, but they just are doing what they have to do. So
do what you must to survive. But still, though,
it's like, they've done a really good job of acting like giant dickheads this whole time. If that's the case, though, for sure.
That's where I think the whole thing with them being dickheads, I think they were, and I think up until they left, they felt they were in the right doing everything that they did. You know, the Beast Titan taking out all those men, and you know, Reiner doing what he did. I think he felt they were all in the right. But as time has gone on and 4 years have passed by, and they've seen how little of an impact that their actions had, not only did they fail, but they failed miserably. They lost 2 other Titans when they went over there to try and get back just 1. Mm-hmm. They went there to get the founding Titan genes, and they lost that, and they lost Annie, and they lost Bertholdt.
And you could tell, like, Bertholdt, too. Like, I feel like if he made it back at this point, he would be more fucked up than Reiner.
Of course. Well, Bertholdt had more of a heart.
Yeah, he was, like, definitely, like, feeling some shit. And, like, obviously he didn't stray from the path or anything, because he essentially couldn't, you know, but...
Yeah.
Like, he was definitely like, I don't fucking want to do this, but...
Well, but...
And, like, he had to even, like, yell things at them. Like, I think some of the things he yelled was just him trying to make his brain be okay with fighting them, essentially. Like, he, you know, remember, like, I think at a point he yelled, he's like, none of it meant anything and shit like that.
Yeah. I hit him trying to justify.
It's like, you're all fucking devils or whatever. Well, like, I can't remember what he yelled, but I remember him yelling something at them that I'm just like, dude, really? Like, come on.
People justify themselves for their actions by self-confirmation. I've seen that. I've witnessed that, and it's horrible when people do that, because I've had to do that myself, because I've had to ask myself multiple times, like, am I right? Am I making the right decision? Yeah, I'm making the right decision. This whole scenario, it'll work in my favor. I just have to see it through. And, you know, the human brain is a weird thing. They've actually found that the different hemispheres of the brain, the different lobes of the brain, actually have two separate conscious natures, but because of the wires that go between each lobe of the brain, they're able to communicate and work together.
I always hate talking about that because I always feel like I can feel my brain whenever I start talking about stuff like that.
But then they've actually saw that people, you know, epilepsy treatment back in the day, they actually used to cut all the connections between the two sides of the brain. And then the patients...
That's the thing I hate talking about.
The patients who had that done exhibited, like, weird, like, sensations. Like, their right hand would pick one thing, their dominant hand, and then their other hand would come in and, like, swat it out of their hand. Like, no, don't do that. It's like... And they couldn't decide. You see, whenever you're taught something your entire life... For instance, we were taught our entire lives that the Earth was round and that we are the third planet in our solar system. Now, we go back 300 years ago, the Earth is the center of the universe, and there's no questioning the church. That's basically it. That is basically it right there.
But science is a liar sometimes.
Thank you very much, Mac. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. You see, everyone...
Turned out that we weren't the center of the universe, making him and everybody else on Earth look like a stupid...
Bitch!
bitch.
Love that part.
Yeah.
But again, that's the whole thing. You take an entire civilization, they're all drinking the same Kool-Aid, all saying the exact same thing, and then a paradigm shifting thing happens. Something truly magnanimous that's undeniable. A lot of that population is not going to jump on board. Do you know why? Because of what they know. Better the devil they know than the devil they don't. That is always what they do. Now, ideas can take form and can take root in society and eventually become the more dominant way of thinking. For instance, evolution 50 years ago was not taught in any schools. Now it's taught in every school. Though I have my dejections against the theory of evolution, but again, they're minimal. And honestly, there's no denying that evolution does play a part in how the world is right now. There's no denying it. But at the same point, 50 years ago, if I would have said that, I'd have been a heretic. I would have been shunned, just like they'd have ran me out of schools because I believed in evolution. And I believed evolution played a part in humanity. But you see, all in all, though, as societies go, it's like we would experience a culture shock if you and I all of a sudden were just dropped in the Middle East. Just like that. Huge culture shock because we wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't know what to say. We would be completely lost.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing if we were dropped in Japan.
Anywhere, really.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only certain countries I think we could have a fighting chance of not being completely out of the loop with.
Oh, dude, if I went to the UK, I'd have to ask for help, how to use the train system, but other than that, I think I'd be all right.
I can figure out train systems. I played enough video games to figure out train systems.
You say that, but good God. Oh, yeah, and...
So
yeah.
I like to think I'm pretty decent with maps and orienteering and stuff after Boy Scouts, so I can figure something out.
As I heard one of our...
Worst case scenario, I'll use a fucking compass if I have to.
I heard my...
That one goes that way, so that's got to be it.
As I heard my British friend Alan one time say, "Filthy foreigners, stand on the fucking left. Stand on the fucking left, you idiots."
What?
Stand on the left of the platform. Because that's the whole thing. Everyone crowds the right side of the platform, and that's how you're supposed to wait until everyone exits the train, and then you carton in. But instead, everyone stands on the fucking right.
Also does the opposite of.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they do the left because I was like, why the left? Because it's the UK.
Because, same thing.
They drive
same thing
on
with
the
roads.
left.
Same thing
so
with the
your
road
brain
system.
is just normally I stay on the left, you stay on your left, and then we're good.
It's like that one movie, Green...
I wonder if you have a problem with accidentally almost running into people a lot when you go to the UK, just walking around for that same reason, because your brain goes walk to their right, and they go, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same thing with driving. I keep hearing people say, whenever Americans move over there, they always have to remind themselves, whenever they start the vehicle up, left side.
But even when I go to the mall here, it pisses me off because I will always walk on the right side of the hall.
Yeah.
And if I want to go to a store that's on the left, I'll just cross over when I get to it. And then there's people that come walking fucking at me on my side. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
No, exactly.
Go over there, stupid.
Yeah.
It's like driving, you fucking idiots.
I can't tell people that though. All right. Well, this was interesting. I liked this. I'm not gonna say I like this episode better than the first one, but I am getting more of a feel for what they're going for this season. So if it continues this route, I'm okay with it. But at the same time, I still want to know where Eren, Mikasa, and Armin and Levi are. That's my big thing.
Dude, I'm definitely happier with this episode than the first episode.
Much happier.
This expanded on lore that we have had set up throughout the past 3 seasons, whereas the first episode did not.
The first episode sort of dropped us in.
It dropped us into something completely unfamiliar. It didn't even get to a hint of expanding the previous lore at all. It was almost this could actually just be what the rest of this season is, pretty much. And I was being please God, no. Don't do that. I want to hear the story that you started, not this other one that is just surprise. This is the real story.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
So, this is a lot better because I'm all right, I'm cool with them setting up all of this stuff with the other side right now.
Mm-hmm.
Given that there's characters we actually know and politics we actually know.
Yeah.
And, seeing the reasoning for what is setting up the season, could come to fruition. Like, they're planning to go back and attack, so that sets up, obviously, us seeing our main cast again. So, but the first episode after that, I was just like, what the fuck is happening?
Like, what the actual fuck?
This one, I'm just like, okay. Like,
you get it.
It's a lot better.
You get what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm really glad that... I feel like it would have been a better first episode
if
they at least ended it with something, like giving us some sort of treat dangle. Like
I know what it could have been.
At the very end.
I know what it could have been. It could have been Zeke looking at on the ground looking at Reiner, in his Titan form, and then him standing up and him looking at the ocean, and then it scans across the ocean, and across the ocean you see Eren standing atop of a bunch of ships that are just
even a short conversation,
like a battleship graveyard, and he's standing on top of it, just
I don't know about that, but even a short conversation between Zeke and Reiner, after the ship fight, where he was like, "This is getting ridiculous," and was like, "We're going to have to do something," and it's just, that something is probably going back,
Yeah.
But yeah, it took them until this episode to say that, so obviously we were left after the first episode with
yeah, what to expect, who knows?
Yeah.
So
I think it was a weak first episode for that reason alone. I think they should have dropped something.
Yeah, but we got a lot in this one, and I'm happier now with the series than I was with the first episode.
Yeah.
But
I was also concerned early in this episode because I was worried they were still sticking with it for a little bit. And I was like, so the whole cool concept that you've set up this whole time, Titans and everything, you're basically just going to say, those are basically obsolete now. We don't care about them anymore.
No, in truth, it's a lot like the Red Dead Redemption series. It's like the last days of the Old West.
Yeah.
This is the last days of,
because I was essentially, at that point, you would be telling a story. If they weren't going back to get the Titan, like they were saying, you would just be telling a story about this cool world and lore that you set up, but after it had already become boring, essentially. You're telling the aftermath that's not really as interesting as what led up to it, and you skipped the end of what led up to it. So
yeah,
that in my opinion would have been a really weak story decision. So I'm glad it's not that. Had me worried for a bit.
Also, we got closure on Ymir. We now know what happened to her.
Yeah. We assumed.
We assumed, but now we have confirmation that she's now no longer. Yeah.
That sucks. I liked her.
I did too. I thought she was cool.
Especially after you learn what a tragic backstory she had.
Yeah.
She got a fucking shitty life.
She did. And
up until the end of it, pretty much.
Well, at least she had it up until she met Historia.
Yeah, at least she got to have a decent. She shouldn't have went back with him though.
I agree.
That was absurd. That was just an absurd choice to go back and die. In my opinion, I don't understand that one at all.
Well, again, it's just one of those things, man. I mean, we don't fully understand the characters' logic and reasoning for doing certain things, but they did it, and there's not much we can do about it.
Pretty much.
All right, well, that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. This was Attack on Titan, Season 4, Episode 2, Midnight Train. And, hopefully you all enjoyed. And if you want to see more, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, ring that bell. Check us out on Patreon if you want to see the next episode. And until then, I'm Nate.
I'm Nick.
See you then. Peace out.